going on, y'all? My name is Jero. I'm here with my brother, brother Jamarhl Crawford.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, just getting right into it. Brother Jamarhl, can you just tell me about yourself? What's your name? Where you from?
No doubt. Well, much like you, we from the same hood, right here in Roxbury. Been here most of my life. Between here, my grandmother had her home, and my mother in Mattapan. So I kind of spent most of my life between Mattapan and my mom's house, and here in Roxbury, grandma's house. And then too, I had a healthy dose of Dorchester in between because my mother owned a business in Dorchester and whatnot. So I pretty much had the overall experience of what I would say from my time growing up, Black Boston. So much so that I coined the term Blackstonian as kind of
Which is your website, of course, Blackstonian.
Blackstonian.com, right. Okay. As kind of a tip to the hat to the whole Black Bostonian thing. And, a lot of the things that were historical here, I've had the privilege of being able to experience. I'm a child of the Elmer Lewis School and, born here, raised here and all that. And I was taught activism here and whatnot. And now as a grown man, I'm here as, a community activist and trying to give back to the community that I came from.
Oh, so just based off of that, you have a lot of grassroots in here in the city. So speaking to that, I'm pretty sure that you were actually running for the city councilor seat,
right?
District 7 here in Roxbury.
Right. So currently running for Boston City Council, District 7, which is the seat that was formerly held by City Councilor Chuck Turner, and currently held by Tito Jackson. And I'm running for this seat because basically, our district, District 7, is probably the one that is most in need of services, but often gets the least amount of services from the government or whatnot. And, in the absence of Councilor Turner, many people would say that, there has been like a lackluster representation or a lackluster delivery on those services. So I'm running, trying to bring those things back to our district, based as a community activist and organizer, and really trying to continue the work that we've already done from a strong track record of not only work, but, getting stuff done, victories. Not just we did the work, but we've actually accomplished some things, and we want to bring that and further that through the District 7 City Council seat.
And I support the strongly. I know for instance, for myself, you've been instrumental in my development in terms of, building my own brand, which is Scope Urban Apparel. Now, can you tell us about how'd you get involved, me and Jake and so forth?
So the beautiful thing about it is that, in my life, I've had the benefit of experiencing, two different elements. And one was a group of people who were older than me, who had resources and knowledge and whatnot. And they would kind of like notice you, but kind of hate on you, really. On sometimes some secret hate, sometimes not so secret hate. Then I also had the benefit of a wonderful group of elders who oftentimes would support you out the blue oftentimes and just find you and, scoop you up and give you the benefit of the wisdom and whatnot. And so as I became, an adult and on into my olderness, my elderliness, right? At 42, I'm an elder, right? That I decided that what I wanted to strive to do was be a more supportive type of figure in the community. And so what that led me to was dealing with a lot of youth from multiple races, different age brackets, because, as you know, in the circle, there's youth as young as, 16 and so, and then, and then y'all, it's not even really fair to call youth anymore because you're 24 and 25 and you're paying your own bills and, grown men. You can, in one of the cases of one of our friends, you can and did, go off and fight for the country and risk your life and all that. So, certainly grown. But that rapport with, quote unquote, what people would typify as the youthful generation and being able to embrace me being a hip hop artist and whatnot and having that love for hip hop, but also activism and organization. So it was kind of easy as I saw some people at the time who were young, mainly through Jesse, Catch Rec, where I met most of y'all, who were doing the hip hop and also doing organizing and activism and interested in politics and community and so on and so forth, social justice. And that led me on a track to meet each and every one of y'all in that extended circle with all the talents that brought. Dancing, hip hop, rapping, DJing, entrepreneurship, and so on and so forth. And for your brand specifically, I think it's something that's important because it not only speaks to that hip hop and that arts and culture merger of politics and everything, as the brands like this, which are not just good to look at and slick, but also have a message to it. But also too, it speaks to small and local business, and also too. Even more importantly than that, a deterrent to violence and crime. Because as you know, many young men from where we're from in this age bracket are engaged in illegal and illicit activities. And I think that entrepreneurialism and having businesses and starting your own brands and all that is one way to get people off of the path of negativity and onto something positive.
And I feel like it's very beneficial and instrumental to like a youth development, because I feel like as if even in schools nowadays there's no economics. But speaking to that sense, your campaign, for instance, is very unique in the sense that you have a really good connectivity with, the youth and, people of your age, the elders, and so forth. But to bring that up, specifically with the youth, I see you also involved with Grassroots Grind. Like, can you explain that?
Right. So out of this whole, legion of superheroes, right? You have an overall collective because everything needs an umbrella to exist under. So, with the whole Grassroots Grind thing, you have in there multiple entities, whether they be groups, whether they be brands, whether they be, dance crews or what have you, that are kind of under this overarching thing. And once again, I'm a respecter of business, innovation, creativity and whatnot. And I think that it represents the best that we have to offer in this city too, which is often an overlooked city and whatnot. So when I look at things like Grassroots Grinds that are using social media and branding and whatnot to not just promote stuff, once again, that is cool and whatnot, and merging with other people who are doing cool stuff, but also that this stuff has actually some sort of social relevance, and there's a logic behind it. There's a deeper thinking. This is just not, the latest, cutest, whatever. There's a logic behind it that I can personally relate to and feel good about supporting. You know what I mean?
Speaking of supporting, I think in that regard, like the whole Feed the Hood campaign. I mean, I've known you for a while, Jamarhl.
Give thanks.
I'd say like about 3 or 4 years now, but you've been doing this whole Feed the Hood campaign way before.
Well, it's beautiful about it too, because once again, it's another way where we've been able to tie in our cliques and whatnot. So okay, when the whole Occupy movement started, there's a wonderful sister out in Detroit named Ife, who's one of the co-founders of Occupy the Hood and whatnot. And she had this idea of ways to give back and encourage various people to do it. At the time, we were doing Occupy the Hood Boston. Came up with the idea of doing Feed the Hood, Feed the People, which is also in conjunction with what my man Kalanji does in Atlanta under the Feed the People thing. So we started this program. And then youth and others such as yourselves and whatnot gravitated towards that idea and was like, yo, that's dope. Next thing we know, we having hip-hop shows and fashion shows and asking people to bring canned goods and donate money. And through those efforts, since we started November 11th of 2011, 11/11/11, since we started, we've now fed over 1,000. Actually, I always say over 1,000. As of today, it's like over 1,200 people that we fed, families and individuals, shelters, and so on and so forth, through the generous donations and whatnot, and once again based on the creativity, and once again doing these at these other small local businesses, Got Soul, what's Mayan's joint out there, Cultures, all these, and we've done these Feed the Hood, Fill the Fridge programs, and we've done some real work through these types of collaborations.
Dope stuff. I'm under the impression that you are also a rapper, known as Only Prophet. Can you speak to that? I mean, you've written books too, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. So me, once again, growing up in Boston and whatnot, you know, at a time, you know, in the original quote unquote Boston hip hop and whatnot, you know, I was fortunate enough to be there at a time with, you know, some of the people that you know, the RSOs, the, you know, the LOGs and so on and so forth, Jason, you know, and so on and so forth. And so, being at that pivotal time, me, like most other, you know, kids in the hood at that time, everybody had a rap, you know. And so I was one of those cats who, you know, based on my love for words and language and whatnot and writing, I gravitated towards rap. And at the same time as well, I did poetry. And so during the 80s and the 90s and whatnot, I was a local Boston rapper and going around and doing little things. MTV, I won the little battle rap when they MTV came here to Boston. This is Yo MTV Raps days and whatnot, and all those types of things. And then later on in my adulthood, 2002, I opened for Summer Jam and whatnot. I just say all that to say, yeah, I've had a long history as a MC or rapper, whatever you want to typify it as well as a spoken word poet and writer. And yes, I wrote books. My first book was a compilation of basically my notebook, which I had for years, but I didn't put together until I was in jail. When I got out of jail in 1995 in Atlanta, that's when I released my first book, and released, probably not my first, but my most known at the time CD, and that was kind of what started the whole Uno the Prophet thing. And in my MC career, I've been what I would typify strictly conscious artist, meaning that all of my artistry has been based on concepts of social justice, race, you know, politics, you know, kind of like, you know, the groups that I at one time, you know, looked after, but then, you know, got the good fortune to meet groups like Public Enemy, Poor Righteous Teachers, X-Clan. And then later on, contemporaries who even came on later than me, but we became brothers, and, you know, groups like Dead Prez and the A-Alikes and whatnot. You know, so that whole kind of vein of consciousness and social justice and politics and whatnot is where I've been in. NY Oil, Jasiri X, you know, people like this. But in that, my kind of vein has been a little bit of like a shock rocker, or a shock jock, if you use the radio term, where I've used issues that I knew would be controversial to kind of dissect those and bring those on the plate and flip it from a different perspective. I made the song Kill Whitey, which is, of course, is a controversial topic, title. But of course, the deeper meaning behind it was the fact that Kill Niggers was perfectly fine and in everyday music. And so, you know, I use that type of stuff to do that. And then the other thing in my hip hop is I also take popular songs and then flip them with a conscious meaning behind it. So at the time when Lil Wayne's A Milli was going crazy and the beat was so infectious, I took that, and instead of talking about a million drugs, a million women, a million guns, $1 million, I talked about a million Africans, you know, a million native indigenous people, you know, so on and so forth, to bring kind of the global holocaust of native and indigenous and African people that has gone on globally. You know, so that's kind of what I do with the hip hop. Oh, and then the campaign song, going back to the campaign.
2 Chainz, I'm different.
Exactly, I'm different.
You did your thing on that track.
Give thanks.
Wow, man. I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Crawford. Any shout outs you'd like to give out?
I'd like to shout out Scope Urban Apparel. All right. You know what I mean? Also, you know, Fly Syndicate, you know. And you know, the beautiful thing about this, and like shout outs, is it really is too many people that we know to mention. But I would really like to shout out all the cats out there in the Boston hip hop scene, the Boston art scene, the Boston political scene, the elders, the young cats, everybody who's, you know, really out there trying to do something. There's a lot of good people out there who are doing some real good work. I encourage everybody to just, you know, keep your eyes tuned, you know, to really see the vastness of what we have to offer. Check out the websites, blackstonian.com. You can see a lot of these people doing good things in the community, whether it's political organizing or the brand or whatnot. beesandthrees.com. The list goes on and on. But if you stay in tune with us, if you need resources or services, you can check out district7boston.com. Of course, my campaign website, jamarhlcrawford.com. There's plenty of info out there. We want your ideas and opinions for bostonblackagenda.com. All right, and I'll just end that to say that we are thebomb.com. All right.
You dig?